usually charge big money for presentation media, and I understand this. However, reading the rhetoric of that situation, the not unconference organizers communicated the following decision for a conference on writing professionals who, according to their formal position statements, value audiovisual writing. Tablecloths are necessary, but presentation media are not. In other words, it's perfectly reasonable, even if undesirable, to conduct a not unconference on writing without presentation media. Audiovisual writing is the parsley on our disciplinary plate. Writers and writing professionals read papers, they take notes on paper at their not unconferences. And what they need is a room, some drinking water, a few notepads, some pens, some chairs, some tables, and thank God, some tablecloths. The basics, the pious materials of our work. We say that we value audiovisual writing for our students, but we don't expect that that'll be essential to the work that writing professionals do. It's not what we do, even if it is what we do. I'm grateful that those white tablecloths were there. Because with my roll of duct tape, we were able to make a screen. Duct tape made audiovisual writing stick in that session, at that not non-conference. Duct tape. It wasn't pretty. The duct tape signaled an obvious case of jury rigging. The duct tape signals that this is not what we do here. And even if the few rooms that work with screens and projectors, the ones that didn't need duct tape, which tablecloths were tablecloths, there weren't any speakers. There's no audio. Oh, shameless self-promotion. Audio, even if it's incorporated in audiovisual media, is absolutely not what we do. We do text, bullet points, we do still images. It's not only at that unconference that I'm talking about, but essentially at every other professional non-conference in our field. I recently attended a presentation by one of my graduate students who had to have, at her session, attendees huddle around her laptop so that they could hear the audio of her movie, the one announced in the program. We apparently, as a discipline, don't recognize that these media are really ours. We write about them, but not with them. That's not what we do, even if it is what we do. And so I call our attention to the duct tape, a visual and practical indicator of hypermediation, to use Bolter's term. The impiety of audiovisual media. Impiety. Duct tape, a medium symbolic of our attempts to jury rig audiovisual writing into our pedagogy. An ad hoc fix. Something stuck on, not integrated. A thing awaiting a more permanent fixing. In this time of deterministic catharsis, of rebirth, transcendence, transformation, it's our business to listen and to look for what's here already, even if we don't recognize it as our own, even if it's duct taped into place for now. And where we notice that duct tape, we'll look and listen very carefully, metaphorically, for more permanent solutions to the temporary adhesion that it facilitates. The presence of duct tape has always indicated to me use. Duct tape is symbolic of purposeful, motivated, necessary action. It's used to correct infrastructures and protocols that were not designed for emergent actions. Musicians play shows in venues that weren't designed for them. Not for them in particular, not for their unique equipment, for their act. Even if a particular venue was designed for a musical act, it was most likely not designed for the musical act on any given night. Invariably, there's going to be cords and cables and stuff that's running around across floors where the musicians and other people need to walk. These potentially dangerous obstructions will be secured with, you guessed it. This facilitates the emergent action. This. Low technology, duct tape, helps musical acts fit scenes. Acts fit scenes, at least for now. Our emergent action is to situate the new work of our transformed writing within a pedagogy for teaching of academic writers. Some of our work will be realized as expansion. We're going to add some new terms and some tools and some practices along the way. For that, we're going to turn to discussions about music and audio recording and visual arts and these kinds of things from film and video producers. However, some of our works can be realized as reduction, as reallocation, by way of deterministic catharsis. We're going to reevaluate some terms and associated concepts in play to determine what fits, what makes our work, what is conducive to realizing our transformed writing. So let's embark upon a quest of deterministic catharsis. Even if we do accept that audiovisual writing or audiovisual media making is writing, that does little more than point to the duct tape holding that audiovisual writing to our syllabi. Deterministic catharsis paradigm shifting has to pursue piety, the things that we expect, through impiety, through impious means, the stuff we don't. The pious must be made impious first in order to be rendered pious and in. All right, so let's get some action after all that. I claim that the vehicle for deterministic catharsis for our pious term writing is through Kenneth Burke's term symbolic action. Action is established as the lens through which we investigate the things that rhetoric does, what it accomplishes, how it moves people to accentuate or to participate purposefully in their animate and inanimate surroundings. Now about that operation. John Dewey distinguishes global operations from local processes. I've been thinking a lot about operations recently. And I can talk about it in all the things I've been writing, the stuff I'm doing with Julie Lindquist, the stuff I'm doing on my own, all this stuff. So, because I'm wondering, how is it that we unify the work that we do? And Dewey says processes are local and temporal. They're particular. But the things that you do in your class, the things that you do in yours, the things that you do in yours, the things that I do in mine, at your institution, yours, our students, what they're doing for all of their different purposes, they're particular, they're processes. And this is nothing new for us. This is the old stuff. But the relationship of means and consequences, which define an operation, remains one and the same in spite of all of these differences. It's a universal. So, in some way, even though we're all doing a bunch of different stuff, we're teaching writing. An operation, Dewey claims, determines any number of processes and products, all differing from one another, but being a telephone, he says, or a cutting tool, is a self-identical universal. That's a telephone. That thing that we used to have stuck to our kitchen wall, it's a telephone. They're universals, even though they're nothing at all the same. They're irrespective, they're universal, irrespective of the multiplicity of special objects which manifest that function. He says that in Quest for Certainty, a study of the relation of knowledge and action. Great. So I began a long time ago in thinking about operations and thinking about what this does, thinking about teaching writing. Back when I was a graduate student, like 80 years ago, I began to make movies, and I then thought I'll get my students to make movies. And I'm still doing it. And if the viral popularity of YouTube culture is any indication, a whole lot of folks appear to be accepting that invitation to do this as well. But cameras, these things are only the front end, right? This isn't video writing in and of itself. That doesn't tell us about writing. Video cameras allow us to collect information, but they don't often allow us to manipulate or share that information very efficiently. Sometimes these actually do, right? The cameras here actually do. Not in and of themselves. It's the operation of capture, upload, edit, and share that has transformed video cameras, things that we've had for a long time, decades, into instruments of writing. The cameras have changed, but the most critical development for our purposes is the way that they now fit both literally and figuratively into the operation of audio-visual or video writing. But let me first give you an example. In the fall of 2010, two undergraduate students in my multimedia writing class, Nina Elias and Bethany Tomaszewski, proposed to do a video mashup, a music video using the song Listomania by the group Phoenix. Now there was an immediate problem with them doing so. This song is fully protected under copyright, and they hadn't sought any permissions to actually do this song, or to use this song. The first one of these things showed up in what turned out to be a very long sort of line of high-profile mashups made of this song. Appeared with featured the Brat Pack actors from John Hughes' 1985 hit film The Breakfast Club. In this film, the characters are dancing to this song, much as they are here. We're Not Alone was the song. It was by Carla DeVito. We all remember that. In the remix, they were re-edited to be dancing to this song, Listen to Me. And this Brat Pack remix spawned a whole series of tribute mashups where folks dance around and deriving their own moves from the Brat Pack's iconic dance moves from the 80s. Many of these mashups have been posted to YouTube, but most have received tens of thousands of views. The Brooklyn Brat Pack mashup at that time viewed close to 250,000 times. So furthermore, YouTube can place links to resources for buying the music, and that's usually a sign now that the artist is considering the mashup to be in their interests and not competing against them. So their classmates and I figured, sure, it's worth the time, do it, make that view. Of course, obviously, they did. The visual footage in the Listening-Mania mashup dances to the groove of the song, with essentially no reference whatsoever to the lyric. As a result, that visual information is generated, captured, selected, and edited according to what I think of as three primary aims. It accentuates movement and timing that's in the song. Replicates moves from the Breakfast Club and the other mashups, genre, and it also obeys self